Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the last video in the series where we are building a CI/CD pipeline to deploy our Django application to Amazon ECS. In the last two videos, we built a Docker image and we deployed it manually on ECS, and we checked that everything worked and we got a correct response when we hit the health check API. So let's start. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a user in AWS. Why do we need a new user? Because in the GitHub Actions, we need to provide secret credentials so that it can perform deployment operations on AWS. So let's create a new user and assign the required policies. First of all, we are going to create a policy with the required permissions, and then we are going to assign it to the user that we are going to create. So let's search for policies. And remember, we are going to create policies for IAM feature because that is where we are going to create our users. So let's click on policies here, and so here we are in the policies. Now click on create policy. Okay, so remember, what are the permissions that we need? We need ECS permissions. We also need ECR, that is Elastic Container Registry permission, in order to push our Docker image. And then we also need a user permission called pass role. So we are just going to assign all those permissions because it is just a demo. We are just going to assign full permissions, but those are not required. So you have to find specific permissions and assign only those when you are setting the users up. So let's search for container registry. So here is the ECR, and we are going to say that enable all actions and all resources, and then we are going to add more permissions. Next, we are going to search for container service, which is ECS, and we are going to say all actions and all resources. The last thing is that we are going to select IAM, but here we should just search for pass role and add that, right? And select all. Next, okay, we are going to call it GitHub Actions, and we can just save it. So now our policy is created. We will go to users and we are going to create a new user with the policy that we just created. We are also going to call it GitHub user, and we are going to attach policies directly. And here we are going to search for the policy that we created, and then we are going to click next, and now we can click create user, and this will create our user. So since we need access keys in GitHub Actions, we are going to create access keys for this user. So let's go to security credentials and create access key. Okay, here we can choose any one of the options that won't affect how we are using the credentials mostly, but since we are using GitHub, which is a third party, and it is going to use the access keys, we are just going to select third party service, and then we can do confirmation. We can ignore this recommendation for now because this is just for a demo purpose, and let's go to next, and then we can just say GitHub Actions and create the access key. Okay, so we have the access keys ready. The next step is we are going to push our application to a GitHub repo that I have already done, and that is a very simple process that you can follow. I'm sure if you are a developer, you already know how to do that. So let's go here. Now we have to set up secret credentials in GitHub Secrets. So for each repo, GitHub provides a secret section, and here in the actions, because we are going to use the secrets in GitHub Actions, we are going to click on actions and we are going to add the secrets here. So I'm just going to quickly add it, and we are just going to copy it here. It is called AWS key ID, and this is a secret, so we can just add this. The next is the secret access key. Let's add that here in the new repo secret, and this is called the secret access key. So all right, we have added both the secrets. The next step is that we have to go and set up the GitHub Actions itself. That will be a GitHub script, and we will commit that to our GitHub repo. So for that, we have to go to Actions, and since we want to deploy on ECS, we are going to search ECS here. There it is, deploy to Amazon ECS. We are just going to click configure. This whole thing can be a lot confusing, but this is actually very straightforward. You don't have to worry about all these things. This is like, if we go through here, this is just configuring AWS credentials with the key ID, and then login to ECR, building, tagging, and pushing the image that we already did manually on our local. And then it is going to run the Docker container in the service. And also, what we are going to do is, we already have all the details that we need from the last video. We have the AWS region, we created an ECR repo, we created an ECS service, a cluster, a task definition, and a container name. So we are just going to copy those variables and paste them here. The AWS region we already know from here. If you go to ECR, you will know which AWS region it falls into, which is AP Southeast 1. So we are just going to copy and paste it here. The next is the ECR repo. This is the ECR repo name. So we are just going to copy it and paste it here. The next is the service. So for that we have to go to ECS. In is the cluster, not the service, right? But we are also going to need the cluster name. So let's copy it from here and paste it here. We will find the service. So let's go. This is the service name, which we are going to just copy and paste it in the service. Next is ECS task definition. Now if you read the comments, it says set this to the path to your Amazon ECS task definition, and there is an example where it looks like it has to be set in the GitHub repo itself, right? So we need to create this file and paste the task definition here. First we are going to copy the task definition from here and copy the JSON first, which is here in JSON, and we are just going to copy this to clipboard. Next is, we are going to go to our repo and we are going to create a new folder inside the root directory. It should be at the root level, so let's create it first, and we are just going to move it to root. We are just going to create a new file, and that will be called task definition.json, and we are going to paste our copied value here. Okay, so we need to commit and push this change to our GitHub repo. So let's do that here. Okay, so first we need to stage this AWS, and then we need to commit and push. This is pushed on our main branch. Now let's go and continue with the setup. So this is done, and you can see that we have set up in this example path itself. So we are just going to copy it and paste it here in the task definition. The last thing is the container name. If you go to the containers, you will find a container here. This is the container name. So let's paste the container name here. All right, so this is actually everything that we need to do. Now we are just going to test that everything works correctly once we commit these changes. And you see, why did we need the secrets? Because we need to log in using the access key and secret, right? So let's commit the change with commit changes and commit changes. All right, so this looks like the change is committed now. If we go to actions, we will find this one workflow that is in progress. The deployment seem to be in progress here. If we look carefully, the login is done. Now it is building, tagging, and pushing the image, which it is preparing and pushing the changes. So this might take a minute for the first time. Okay, so it now says that the deployment of ECS task definition is started. So once these changes are live, the one thing that we are going to do is we will have to copy the IP, public IP that is assigned to the task, because it is assigned randomly right now, because we have not set up a load balancer as I mentioned in the previous videos. So maybe that will be a bonus video later where I will explain how to assign a load balancer and have a static IP that we can hit anytime a deployment is done. But for now, once it is deployed, we have to go look for the task and find the IP and then hit the health check endpoint. Deployment might take a minute as well for the first time. So I'm just going to come back. All right. So as you can see, the deployment is complete. Now we are going to look for the public IP in the new task that has been deployed. So let's go to clusters, services, and here we can find the tasks. You can see the task here. Let's go to the task and here we can find the IP. Now let's hit the health check endpoint. Our port is 8000 and health check is working. Now we are going to do a minor change here and then see if the deployment is triggered automatically, right? So for that we are just going to go here and we can add another key just for the check. Version 1.0.0, we can just say test and commit, push it as well. Go here, we can go and check if our change is pushed. Okay, looks like it is pushed and the deployment is in progress. So let's go to the details and it has started. It is actually pretty fast. So this might take a minute to complete. So let's wait for that and then we can go and find the IP and test it again. All right. So as you can see, this was deployed 2 seconds ago. So let's click on this new task and find the public IP and test it here with the port 8000 and health. All right, so we can see the version 1.0.0 and that means it's working. So our pipeline is complete. All right, first of all, congratulations. You have successfully built a CI/CD pipeline which deploys a Django application to Amazon ECS. Hope you enjoyed this video and got to learn a lot from it. If you like this series, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.